All right, so now we're going to talk just a little bit about strategizing. Okay? So, you know, it wouldn't be academia if we didn't have a little diagram or a picture to show it. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the who. Okay? Who conducts strategy or strategizing? They can see me. So you get the strategizing thing. And so who does it? Strategists do. We'll talk more about that. Is the pen wearing out? Then you've got the activities. You know, what are they actually doing? And then you've got the methodologies. How are they doing it? So strategizing is composed normally of 4 steps. You've got the analysis, and most of this course that I've designed is dedicated to the analysis piece. But you've also got issue selling, you've got decision making, and then you've got communicating. So, again, for all the tools that I've shown you in this class, under the analysis piece, there's going to be a trade-off between quality and timeliness of analysis and its inclusion. For any given strategic problem, it is absolutely true you could spend a whole lifetime looking at it. But there comes a point where there's a deadline and decisions have to be made. I believe it was Patton that said that a poorly thought out plan, violently executed, was preferable to the ideal plan that never left the drawing table. So conduct analysis that is good enough. It doesn't have to be the most thorough in the world, because there comes a point where be thorough and all that. That's not what I'm saying. But focus on the fact that you need to be good enough, however you define that. No strategy will be perfect, because there's always these things that will come out of left field. Again, remember we talked about scenario building, where you kind of have like a tentative plan, you kind of wait and see, and then you revise. Again, another military analogy, we always say that the best plan fails after the first shot. So you need to have some sort of flexibility. You know, it's okay to leave a couple gaps in there that you can kind of fill in as you go along. So no analysis is perfect. Anticipate mistakes, anticipate an unpredictable future. Then you've got to focus on selling strategic issues, and this is huge. Unfortunately, top managers are always overwhelmed by the demands and issues that come from different constituencies. As a manager, I'm sure those of you that are watching this video, that our managers know, you are getting pulled in a million different directions at once. Okay, and this is a real problem to the selling of strategy. You've got to make sure that you package the issues in bite-sized and easily communicatable pieces. You've got to make sure that there is an establishment of formal and informal channels. This is huge for selling strategy. Okay? Yes, your formal chain of command is always a good thing within a corporation for coming up with ideas, reporting complaints, etc. But informal channels are huge, and the Japanese have really mastered this with this idea of Kaizen, where anybody can make a suggestion and put it in the box. And again, as a top manager, go out, talk to your people. You can talk to people informally, take them out for dinner, take them out for coffee, whatever. Just talk to them. You can learn so much through informal channels, and it's also a way of communicating. You may have someone that's disgruntled, but if you can explain things in an informal way that they can understand, they'll tell other people. That makes a huge impact. Okay? Selling the strategy, convincing people it's a good thing. Of course, having coalitions within an organization. If you have multiple functional managers, from HR, finance, marketing, etc., all saying, hey, we think this is a good thing, that makes an impact. Okay? So try not to have it just so much, CEO down, but have a tremendous amount of buy-in across the organization through your coalition. And then timing. I think almost any time is a good time to sell strategy. Always continuing to convince people. Again, it's always a continuous molding process. Thinking of Mintzberg, that clay in your hand. So always putting out little bits of information, having little strategy workshops. These are great ways to sell the strategy. Then you've also got the decision making. Unfortunately, strategy decision making is very rarely is it something that's rational, but it's always more of a political process, and the politics can get overwhelming. Even if you as a consultant know everything, you've still got to deal with organizational politics. Remember we talked about weighting your many scenarios? Okay? You always want to have alternatives in strategic planning. You want to have, and of course you can kind of manipulate people a little bit by having a couple options that are kind of garbage, and then a couple that are really obviously the quote-unquote good ones or right ones. That way people can choose. They feel like their voice has been heard. Okay, so alternatives are important. Tracking real-time information. Okay, that can really solidify an argument, but it can also solidify the decision-making process if you've got timely, accurate information. Again, just talking to people, getting ideas and consensus from trusted advisors, and that could be advisors of both the CEO but also of line managers. Getting what they think. Consensus is important, but it's not imperative. Try to get consensus, but don't go overboard trying to get that consensus, because you'll never have perfect consensus. And then once you've actually made your decisions, you want to communicate. So again, to sum it up quickly, do your analysis, especially if you're a consultant. Do your analysis, figure out what you think the current environment is like. Then go ahead and start selling the problems that you can perceive in the external market. For the decision-making process, again, be inclusive, understand that there are politics, have alternatives built in, and then once you've made a decision, always communicate it to people throughout the organization. Workshops, meetings, some firms put their strategy next to the bathroom because they know that people are going to pass by there. Do whatever you have to do, but make sure that everybody understands what the strategy is, and that will facilitate buy-in. So what we're going to do next is talk just a little bit about the role of consultants and strategic planners. Looking forward to seeing you then.